I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. This is the Billionaire Brown experience. Let's go.
About being bullied, and I talk about, not really having a dad and stuff in my life, and how I was a teen
What
mother.
you
I had
mean
my
being
first
bullied?
child. Bullied, of course. Coming from the South, I always had an accent.
Where in
I
the
was the
South?
most Mississippi.
Oh, ew, that's
So,
deep in the South.
yep,
That's
born
deep in
in
the
the
South.
South. But when I was younger, my accent was a lot stronger. So moving to then Virginia, of course, I got teased. Then I had longer hair than a lot of my girls in my classroom. So they would always call me white girl, and I would get picked on. I would get bullied. I had big ears. It was crazy. So, of course, got picked on and bullied in school. And, there is
Give us
a,
an example. Like, what's a situation where you got bullied and you remember still to this day? Because why I'm asking you that. I'm asking you that because oftentimes when we're younger, we don't realize the things that we do that affect people even to this day, right?
yep.
I just revealed this story on my podcast. I just had a conversation with someone. I just revealed a story that I've never told, like only like a handful of people know, let alone the people that it has affected that, never heard me say it. But I'm curious to know, like, what was like, can you share with us a moment where you were bullied and it really stood out to you?
Oh, absolutely. This particular chapter is called "How Bad Does It Have to Hurt?" And during this, I compare this story to the old man who sits out in front of his convenience store with his dog, and over and over and over, the dog is getting hurt continuously by the old rusted nail. I mean, I kind of twisted the story a little bit, but my story was being in kindergarten. I was picked up on this by this one girl. I mean, every day this girl would pick on me. I mean, calling me a white girl, calling me ugly, calling me dark, and calling me this, and just calling me all these different names. And I would get physically bullied by her. I mean, pushed and, tripped and pulling my hair, trying to pull my hair out. So, yeah, it was crazy. So one day I was walking home and I didn't see this girl all day long. So I'm thinking, okay, yes, I'm scot-free. So I'm skipping home and, it's raining outside, but I didn't care because, the girl wasn't at school today. So I was like, yes, I'm done. Well, it was like not even a mile away from my babysitter's house. This chick comes up behind me and just pushed me in the rain. And I slide and I skid all the way down on the sidewalk. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then she's punching me, she's hitting me. And it was like, at this point, I realized, you know what? I'm no longer going to take this from you. So I took my umbrella and I then began to just, all my little might that I had, I began beating her back with it. And in my mind, I was like, I want you to hurt like you hurt me. I want you to cry like you made me cry. I want you to do exactly how you made me feel. And I promise you, I kept hitting the girl. I don't even know how many times I did, but I remember wearing her little tail out. So after I did that, it was like, she finally, like, you could see in her eyes, she was like, oh my gosh, I know I'm not going to mess with this girl again. So I didn't even want to turn around and look at her, so I ran all the way to the babysitter's house. And from that moment, this chick tried to be like my best friend, like, since that moment. Yeah, so I just believe, how bad does it have to hurt? How bad does life have to hurt in order for you to get up and make a change? How bad? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Now, a lot of, when we typically think of bullying, we think about, like in our adolescence, right? And our younger years. But I was looking at there's a lot of data that's out there that's showing that even adults are getting bullied, like, especially at the workplace. I think, like, I just was reading this article that said, like, 80% of women are dealing with, like, sexual harassment at the workplace. And then you got just normal bullying that just happens in the workplace. after that experience, as a child with this young lady with the, the umbrella, how bad, does it have to hurt, right? Have you ever experienced, and do you experience, bullying as an adult? Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I mean, oh, absolutely. I mean, I've gone through it plenty of times. Again, people try to put you in a box. I've been bullied by my parents, people who you would think are close to you.
What do you mean bullied
people,
by your parents? I don't
because
understand that.
a lot of times some parents like to live vicariously through their child. And a lot of times, a lot of parents use what they went through with that child's their significant other, and they'll put it onto the child. So again, for me, I always felt like I was the black sheep. And so my biological dad, of course, I don't know where he is. He's in Mississippi somewhere, but I don't know. But my stepdad, once my little sister came along, it was pretty much like all eyes on her. And even now to this day, I even feel like, she's like the golden child, I would get stuff thrown back in my face. Oh, you'll never be nothing. You won't get here. You won't ever have this. And, it's just those mental bullying, not necessarily physical. And I think the mental bullying is way worse than the physical because, people always say life is in the power of the tongue. And I definitely believe that. You can speak life to somebody, you can speak death to them. And it took me so long to even write this book because I kept remembering all the words that had been told to me since I was younger. And even though they say forgive and forget, I got the first vision to write this book in 2009, and I just published in 2017.
Okay, so you had it in the crock pot.
Pretty much.
Okay, and I want to unpack a few more of these chapters, but I also want to find out, like, was writing this book, because it seems very graphic, very detailed, and your life is, you're very transparent with it. Was it at all was it like a therapeutic process? Like, was it a weight lifted off of your shoulder? Is it like a new chapter now once you finish it? Like, tell me about that.
This is actually a series. The series is called the Dessert Chronicles. So the first dessert is humble pie.
Wait, the what?
And the Dessert Chronicles.
Okay.
So
I like
the first dessert is humble pie, and humble pie basically is all of my troubles that I went through, and then it goes into how you can basically turn your life around. Because again, for me, it was very therapeutic. There were some times and there were some things that I talked about that I never really shared. The only people that know is my husband about some things, especially when I was molested when I was younger. No one really knew about nothing. My mom didn't even know. She just found out a couple months ago. And I'm 32 years old. So my mom just found out about that. I had an abortion. So I write about the process about that. And what I experienced.
Wait, you didn't tell
all
anybody you were molested?
I did not. Nope.
How old did this happen?
I was in kindergarten, first grade age.
And why didn't you ever say anything? You just said were you exaggerating, or were you serious when you just said your mom just found out a few months ago?
Yeah, like she literally just found out a couple months ago.
So why didn't you?
She never knew.
Why didn't you say anything to anyone?
Because actually I felt ashamed because it was by a girl. And while I was growing up, it was almost like I put a mental block in the back of my mind. I just forgot about it for so long. And then it wasn't really until I got married where those thoughts would come back into my mind. And then I would be confused, like, I know I'm not a lesbian. I know that I'm not into girls, in that way, And even when my husband and I would, be intimate or anything like that, thoughts would come back into my mind as well. So I really started beginning to, those thoughts began to kind of taunt me a little bit. And I really had to pray and ask God, why in the world are these thoughts even coming to me? Was it because of what happened back then? And so a lot of people don't believe in generational curses. And I went back home in Mississippi not that long ago, and I talked to my sister, me and her both, she's about a year older than me. I haven't seen her since we were about 5 or 6. And she described to me that our grandmother was a lesbian, and and some things happened to her. And I even believe that some things happened to my mother as well. So I think that when you kind of hold on to stuff for so long, or you kind of put that mental block in the back of your mind, that it only will show its face right at the moment where you're trying to do things in your life, and it kind of, I guess, makes you feel like, okay, either you can use it as a hindering, as a hindering block, or you can use it as, I'm going to get through this, and it is what it is. But actually, yeah, I mean, I struggled for so long. I was addicted to porn, and I was addicted to all these different things, and I really had to come face to face with who was I designed to be? What type of person am I going to be?
So for context,
am I this person? Yeah.
For context, it was a young lady. So what did this girl do with you? How did she molest you?
She actually went down on me when I was about 5 or 6, somewhere around that age, and she had to been about in maybe 6th or 7th grade, and so when I wrote in the book, it's called Slice of Molestation. So each chapter is like a slice of something. So during that time, I mean, and now as an adult, I don't blame her, of course, because children only repeat what they've done, what's been done to them, or what they've seen. And even now, it's like, what, children are sponges. They'll soak up every little ounce of you if you let them. So in my mind, I'm like, man, who did this? Who did that to this child? Who allowed their child in that space where she was watching that type of stuff? Back then, I didn't understand what the word that was. I mean, I didn't even, my parents never even allowed me to watch any of that stuff. So I'm like oblivious to what the word was going on. And, she of course was saying, yeah, come on, let's play a game. And she knew that I was scared of my stepdad. So she would taunt me like, oh, well, if you don't do this, then I'm going to tell your dad that, and I'm like, what kind of reverse psychology is this? You're doing something to me, but you're going to tell my dad on me. You know what I mean? And back then, I was like, oh, Lord, I'm so scared of him that I didn't want to, even mention it or anything. So after that happened, it was like, I just kind of put it in the back of my mind. And it didn't show its face back up until I was in my early 20s.
Dental problems don't get better the longer you wait. They just get worse and more expensive. The #1 dental plan in America today guarantees to save you 20 to 80% on all dental procedures you can get done in the dental office. Regular teeth cleanings all the way up to cosmetic dentistry. No waiting periods. Contact a benefit consultant immediately to find out what open enrollment specials are available in your state today. 888-674-9409.